GroovePages tutorial, a complete beginner's guide on how to use GroovePages. My name is Rob Verzera and welcome to the ETA. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to use GroovePages. We're going to be going through all the different aspects of it, as well as doing a full walkthrough on how to create a page. Also, make sure you click that subscribe button below and get notified anytime we release a new video. All right, let's get started. We are going to be going over GroovePages. Last week, we did a whole overview of Groovefunnels. And what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is diving into each piece pretty deep, one by one. So what I'd like to do is, if you guys have any questions at all, drop a big fat Q in front of your question and then go ahead and drop the question there. And Kathy's going to be on the lookout for those and stop me when we got a question in there.
I'm going to say stop, hammer time.
Yep, stop, hammer time. I'm in a great mood today. I'm so glad yesterday is over with. It's just... All right, so GroovePages. So GroovePages is kind of what we use to make our funnels, to make our web pages, to make kind of anything that for the most part is customer facing or front facing in your site. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over how to actually do that. I'm not going to go over the domain part, how to set up a domain. I actually did a video on that the other day. It got pushed up to YouTube, and I just posted in the group this morning. So take a look at that, and that's how you connect your domains into Groove. Because there's been a lot of challenges with that recently with all the changes, but it looks like the changes are there working and it's all squared away. So we are good.
Yeah. So if you haven't liked or went and subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that, because a lot of the videos, a lot of tech videos are on there, and we're adding to that all the time. And
yes,
you'll be able to use that as a reference point should you need it.
Very much so. And make sure you guys, if you have not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe. We are trying to grow that channel. We're almost at 500 now, which is really cool. I'm excited. We're trying to get that up to 1,000 in the next couple of weeks. So really help us out. Get in there and subscribe. So, all right. So I guess the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into actually how to get into GroovePages. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here real quick. And let me go ahead and do this. Share screen. And all right. So the very first thing you're going to do is once you actually log in, we're going to go ahead and click on the GroovePages, Groovefunnels icon right up here. You can also get to it by going to Apps and going here to GroovePages. Okay. So once you are inside GroovePages, there's a couple things to do. So the very first thing you can do is, if you are brand new and you have no sites, is we can go ahead and create a site. And that's what we're actually going to do. We're going to go ahead and walk through this whole thing kind of step by step here. So we're going to go ahead and create a site. And this site is, you have an opportunity here to either generate a single page. There's all these different categories right in here. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different templates you can use, or you can even start off with just a blank template. You can also go ahead and select up here. You can select a complete site, which will have a couple different pages, or a couple different pages that are kind of pre-built already. You can go ahead and select a different funnel, and it has a couple of funnels built for you. And you could also go into My Templates, which is, if you create any templates, this is where they'll actually all be stored. Right. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and just do a single page, and we're going to go ahead and start from blank, start from scratch. We're just going to call this our test site. I'm going to say start building. And you can see it's going to go ahead here and give us a completely blank slate right here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the menu options that are available. And we're going to start up in the right-hand side. So we come up here, we hit this menu right here. The very first thing we can do is save as template. And if we go ahead and save as template, it'll go ahead and save this page as our own custom template, which is good if you ever want to share it, or you want to go ahead and use it multiple times. You want to use it in different funnels, you can go ahead and just click on save as template. Now, site settings, these are settings that will apply for the entire site. And if you go ahead and click that, you got to have a couple different options here. So starting at the top is going to basically be what the business or the website name is going to be. And we're just going to go ahead and call this our test site. And this is what's going to show right here. And it's also going to show in our main listing when you see all of the sites. You can choose a different fav icon or favicon or whatever you want to call it. This is just a 32 by 32. It's the thing that lives up in this top corner right here. So you can see there it's a G. We're going to go ahead and change this out to this right here, to the ETA logo. All right, so you have to hit this little button right here for these things actually apply, the little check mark. So make sure you hit that when you're actually done with everything. The next thing you do is you can choose a default font for your entire site. I am a fan of Montserrat, this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. You can go ahead and add custom CSS if you want. You can also include different spots in your header, body, and footer. So you can go ahead and put this stuff in there if you want. And now here's your open graph information. And this will go ahead and apply to the entire site, or it'll apply page by page when you actually apply it to your page. So to start with, I'm just going to go ahead and select an image that I actually already have in here. Let's see. Actually, you know what? I have one somewhere up here. I thought I put it right here. So this is actually just the right size. It's 1200 by 627. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. And now my title, this is our test site. Okay, and now remember, you have to hit this little checkbox here in order for the settings to actually take place, or the settings to actually apply. And then we'll go ahead and click the X, and that'll go ahead and close that. All right, so the next thing right here is export site. If you click on this, this will actually export your site to a zip file. And then inside that zip file is just an HTML file, so you can just go ahead and add it to another site or have the HTML for it if you want. So kind of whatever you want to do there. Personally, I've not found the use for it yet, but it just lets you export it to an HTML. Revisions allows you to see different revisions that you've made on your site. With this one, obviously, I haven't done anything yet, so there are no revisions. But what you can do is you can actually select a past revision and go ahead and use it. So if you happen to have, like, say, design, and then you go ahead and mess it up along the way, you can always get back to that design. It kind of allows you to do that. Share site will allow you to make a share site. You can basically, if we go ahead and click this, it's going to say, give me a share link. And if I click add, it's going to generate this link right here. Okay, now I can go ahead and copy this link by clicking this button right here, and I can give this to anybody. And what happens is that it'll actually import this whole funnel of this whole site into somebody else's page or into somebody else's account. So I can go ahead and copy this, go ahead and post it, and if you guys can click this, it'll go ahead and import it right into your Groovefunnels thing. So we can actually do that at the end, and I can show you how that works. So we'll go ahead and exit that. And then these last things here are kind of just for the global site right here, right? Or for your global account, because you can deal with your integrations where you can integrate with any of your mail apps or anything else you want to do there. Your account will give you information about your account. Your billing settings is obvious, and the Groovefunnel Partner Program. This will go ahead and give you the information for the Groove Affiliate Program. So that's kind of all the menu items up on this side right here. Okay. So as we walk over to the left, you have this publish item. All right, this right here will actually publish your site. It'll publish a page, and we'll go ahead and talk about this in a little while. This save button is just a status of what's kind of going on. This eyeball is a preview, and then these two buttons here are an undo and redo. So if you kind of do a couple things, like for example, say if I just pull a block over here, and let's go ahead and just do this. We grab it over there, and let's say, oh crap, you know what? I really didn't want to do that. I could just go ahead and hit undo, right? And it'll take it right out of there. These buttons up top here, these have to do with what they look like, or what your page is going to look like on each individual device, right? So this right here is your desktop. This is laptop. This is a tablet. This is the tablet going vertical, and this right here is mobile. So they kind of give you a way to modify each one of these things. And we'll kind of go over a little bit of these as we go on as well. This right here on the top, this is your drop-down navigation. So if you drop this down, it'll show you all the pages you have. So I just have one page right now. And if I click on pages, you can see I have one page. It's just the home page, right? So we can go ahead and move over here. This is our test name. This is the name of our site, right here. And then on the left-hand side, you have your navigation bar for everything else, okay? So the very first thing you're going to see here is blocks, and blocks are kind of the building block of GroovePages, right? This is what allows you to build everything. This is the very first item that has to go down. And then inside your blocks, you have what are called containers, okay? So let me just kind of show you a little bit what this looks like before I actually get into doing it in Groove. So
before you get started, does anybody have any questions on what has been covered so far?
So far.
We have quite a few on here. Jason from Atlanta, Chris from Atlanta, Will. It's going to snow. Sorry, dude.
Oh, man. Sorry.
Sabrina, how you doing? And then several others that haven't said anything. We're excited that you're here. If you have any
All
questions,
right.
just pop them down, put a Q down there, and otherwise, Rob is going to continue on.
Keep rolling here. All right. Okay. So what you see here is that we have a couple things here called blocks. And like I said, blocks are kind of the basis for everything. And what it kind of looks like is I'm just going to go ahead and just use a couple. I'm going to use some stuff in Canva here to kind of outline what we're talking about. So I'm going to change this to yellow. So yellow are going to be our blocks, right? So what you can do is if you look at any website, it's essentially broken out into blocks like this, right? There's sections. So you have a top section, middle section, and bottom section. And right, if we go to something like yoursalechallenge.com, whoops, your sales, I can actually type today. Okay. So you can see right here, you can see kind of where things are broken out as blocks, right? You can see this top one's a block. This white spot here is a block. This next blue part is a block. This part right here is a block, right? So that's what you can kind of do within Groove, right? So you have all these blocks. Now inside a block, right? If we come back here, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a block. We're going to grab just an empty block. So we have this right here. This is just a block. So we drag it and we drop it right on there. And now this is going to go ahead and do its thing. And now we have a block. And you can see if I hover my mouse over it, it turns red. And if I click it, it turns red and it stays red. And you can see on the bottom part is kind of the navigation. So I have my body and then I have this block. So this right here is a block. Now inside a block is what's called a container. And you can see this has a container in it already. It's an empty container. Okay. Now you can see by these other blocks that a block can have either one container, 2 containers, 3 containers, 4 containers. It can have as many containers as you want in there. Okay. So if we use another color here, let's just go with like blue or purple. So inside here, right, I can have a container. And I'll show you why this is kind of important here in a minute. And I can have 1 container, 2 containers. I can have as many containers as I want. Right, so let me straighten these up a little bit. All right, now the kind of cool thing here is that you can see what this allows you to do, right? Is that you can have a block that kind of takes up a certain space, and inside that you have a container that takes up a certain space. So you can see when you start looking at things, right? If you look at this one right here, right? This here is a block, right, with 2 containers. It has a container that has this video in it, and it has another container that has this information in it here. Right, this one right here, you can see this is 1 block with 1 container in the middle that has this stuff inside it. This one right here is a block with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 containers. Okay, so you can kind of see how you can take this concept and kind of design whatever it is that you want. Now they don't have to be the same sizes, but they can. You can manipulate them kind of any which way you want. But what lives inside the containers are what are called elements. Now, if you look in Groove here, you have elements. And you have all these different things. So you can have elements that are containers. You can have cards, which are basically just like an image and a description. You can have headers. You can have a paragraph. You can have lists. You can have any one of these things. So these are all elements, and elements live inside containers. Okay. So if we go here, let's just take pink because that's nice and obnoxious. So now inside your container is you have elements, and you can have as many different elements as you want inside a container. And now you can also, within a container, you can actually put in containers inside containers. So it's really kind of unlimited, the stuff you could kind of do here with Groove, which is really kind of cool. Now, the other bad thing about it is that it also kind of gets confusing because you have a lot of these things inside things, right? So Groove kind of makes this a little bit easier for you because it gives you a navigation bar on the bottom of kind of a hierarchy of where you are within your block, within your container, or within your element, okay? So as an example, right, so we have right here, we have a block that has a container in here. And then inside this container, we're just gonna go ahead and put in an element, and that element's gonna be an image, okay? Give this a second here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple, I'm going to do a couple things to kind of outline this a little bit better. So you can see right here, when I click on the block, it has these buttons right here on the top left. These are basically just your editing buttons. This first one right here is a star. This allows you to save this particular block. This right here is edit. This allows you to edit the properties for this block. So you can see over here, I can come over here, I can see all these different properties. Background happens to be one of them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select green for this just because it's a really, actually, you know what, let's do this. What color do we have here? We had yellow. So let me go ahead and select yellow here just so we can be on the same page. Okay, so we have yellow. Now you can see if I click on where the container part is, you can see the outline is red. You can also see on the navigation down the bottom that I'm in the container, right? The container is inside the block. So just remember this hierarchy right here. So if I click on this container, if I change the background of this container, let's make this, what color do we have it in here? We had it purple. Let's go ahead and select, we're gonna go with this blue, this close to purple. So you can see right now, so now we have our block, we have our container inside our block, and then we have our element right here, which is inside a container. So you can see we have image, container, block, right? That makes sense the way that hierarchy goes?
Yeah, so we had a question. Can you work on all devices at the same time?
Yeah, so I'll actually talk about that in 1 second.
Okay.
So let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and just add an image in here just so we can kind of see it. And I'm gonna go ahead and add this image again. Okay. So we have basically, again, we have our block, our container, and we have our element inside there, which is just an image, okay? So if we start looking up here now, right, what you're gonna start seeing is you're gonna see that things look a little bit different than they do when we're on the desktop, okay? Now, I'm not sure why it works this way, but it does. But kind of what you have to do, and what I was told is actually there's a bug right now in some of the coloring. So if we start here and we kind of go back to here, right? We're on the desktop, or I'm sorry, we're on the laptop version now. All right, if we click on here, if we click on the block, you can see we're on the block. If we look at the background, you can see there's no background color set. So for some reason, it doesn't carry through, and I'm not really sure why. It was, from my understanding, that it's a bug that's going on, and it's going to be fixed. But so this is the way you kind of have to do it. You start from the mobile and just kind of work your way up at this point. And if you click on here and click on that, it'll just kind of go, right? It's kind of like I said, I'm not sure why, but it is kind of a bug right now. So not everything is going to work. You're not going to be able to design everything at once. But what you can do now is, now that you have this, now we can work on a couple different things like kind of centering something. Now, one thing to understand is that when you're working with this, it's not like you're in like Word or something, right? Where you can just click on something and then click on center and it automatically centers, right? That's one of the things that everybody wants to be able to do. They just want to center something. So understand that when you start positioning things, they have to be positioned within a container, right? And just remember that statement. They have to be positioned within a container. So I can't just click on this and just go center, right? There's no way just to center it. I have to click on the container that the element's in. So example, if I want to center this ETA logo right here, or if I want to make this right in the middle, I have to click the container that I'm in, right? Not the block that I'm in, the actual container that contains this particular image. And then the layout part over here is what's going to show you, or what's going to allow you to space things in the center, or left or right justified. So I can go ahead and click on that right there, and you can see that's the primary center, so that will center this. It's just something that people always get stuck on. They want to be able to center something. Just remember, you have to center it and you have to position it inside a container. So you have multiple containers, you have to make sure you're in the right container. So just wanted to kind of go over that little part right there. But what we can do is we can kind of go over here, and I'm going to talk about what each one of these are and kind of go over all the different types of blocks and elements that they have. So does that make sense so far? Is everybody good? Any other questions right up front here?
Yeah, drop a 1 if it's making sense.
Making sense,
guys. Drop a 1 down below. Let us know we're on the right track.
I definitely go fast sometimes, and I just kind of ramble. So if you guys don't stop me, I'm just going to keep rolling.
No, I think it's going good. It's you're not going too fast. Everybody seems to be hanging in there.
All right, good, sweet. Okay, all right, perfect, good. All right, so we're gonna go up on the left-hand side here. So we're gonna talk about the menus on the left here. So we're gonna start with blocks, right? If you go into blocks, you have two options here. You have designer blocks and you have wireframes. Now, wireframes are just what they sound like, right? They're basically like a block that doesn't have, just has a wire design, right? So if you start looking at some of these, you can see that, right, you have some basic outlines here. You have a whole bunch of different outlines. You can see some of these don't have thumbnails. There's a bunch of new ones in here. Some resources in here, and you can see they're all kind of just like blank with stuff. So let's say we want to just use a resource post or resource block. I'm going to go ahead and grab this one and just take this and drag this out. And that's the way this works. You kind of just take this and you drag this out onto something, right? And you can see, and it's called the wireframe because there's nothing actually here, right? It's just a basic frame. So it's just kind of just your Latin stuff right here. We have to replace your images, which you have to replace. But you can see what kind of the layout is in here, right? We have our block, which is this outside one. If you start looking around, you can see inside here, if we click on it, we have a container, but you can actually go back up one, and then you have this right here, which is just another stylable element, right? I happen to know it's a container because that's what it says inside there. But so then inside here, it's now broken out into another container. So we have a container here, we have a container here, and we have a container here. And then inside that container, we have 3 images. We have an image, text, and text. So you can see kind of the hierarchy on the bottom. So we have text, which is inside a container, which is inside a stylable element, which is inside a block, right? So you can kind of see the way that hierarchy works. So you just have to always be careful of you want to know where you're at within certain things. Because what happens sometimes is that somebody may want to delete something, and they may want to say delete this, say feature 2, and on accident they click here, right? They're not actually clicked on feature 2, they're clicked on this whole container, right? So really pay attention to where you're at when you start clicking around in here, because the other thing you're going to start noticing is that your configuration stuff on the right is going to be different based upon what it is that you click. Okay, so just really understand and pay attention to where you're at within everything here. Okay, so that was kind of the wireframe blocks, and like again, you can go through a whole bunch of these. There's a whole bunch of different ones in here. You can kind of see, you can kind of use whatever it is that you want. Now, if you go into design blocks already have designs made for you. So for example, we can use this dude right here. We can just take this and drag this out, and you can see it's going to drop right here. And it already has design elements. Oh, sorry, it's a girl. I didn't realize it was a guy. So, but again, you can see, right? You have your block, right? And then you have, if you look in here, we have an image, which is inside a container, right? Which is that dark one, which is inside a layout, which is inside another container, which is inside another layout, which is inside another container, right? It's just kind of the way that the hierarchy works there. Whoever made this particular block, that's just the way they designed it. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in here. So
we have questions.
Yep. We'll be covering integrations today. Just touched on them real quick. Integrations really are just what we use to talk to things outside. We're not going to deal with anything like as far as Active Campaign or integrating Zap or anything like that. We'll do that another day. This is more just about straight up GroovePages. So I'm looking for a style of an option. Should I be able to find it in a resource for a style of opt-in? Should I find it in a resource? Yeah, so you can just design your opt-in. I'm not sure what you're asking me.
What he's saying is in the elements where you had the resources inside of elements.
Inside elements.
On the blocks there, yeah.
Oh, here. Oh,
yeah.
You're talking about in here, like resources, like here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely find things inside here. There's literally, I mean, there's hundreds of different things in here, so you can go through and find anything that you want in here.
Either that, or you can even find a template that is already pre-made, and you can just adjust it that way too. Will. Yep,
exactly. That's the great thing. I mean, you can go ahead and just start from another template that you like, and just go ahead and customize that any which way you want. So yeah. So that's all the wireframes there. And then the design block, like I said, the design block already has designs already there for you. You can take them, modify the colors, kind of change around whatever it is that you want. So, I mean, really kind of simple. They kind of make it very easy for you. Yeah. So the next thing we're going to go here is into elements. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these blocks right here. And again, if you want to remove the block, you just make sure you click on the block and you click this little garbage can icon, and that goes in and removes it. The other thing too is you'll notice that on the right-hand side, you're going to see these arrows, right? This one has an up. This one here has a down. What this allows you to do is to move this whole block. So if I want to take this whole block and move it up to the top, I can just go ahead and click on that, and you can see it goes up to the top. And then if I want to move it down to the bottom, whoops, I can just click it, move it back down to the bottom. So it kind of gives you a nice way to kind of move some things around here. We're going to go ahead and delete that as well. And what we'll do now is actually I'm going to add another block here, and I'm just going to add an empty block with the container. All right, so let's get that there. All right, so if you start looking at the different elements that you have, right? You have a whole bunch that are in here, and you start off with the layout. And the layout is basically just a container, a 1 column, a 2 column, 3 column, 4 column, and 5 columns. They're basically pre-built. If you want to do more than that, you just kind of have to drag in individual columns all the way. But you know, for the example, we're just going to grab 2 column, and we're just going to go ahead and drop it right in there. Okay.
We had another question. If you want to change this picture, can you?
Yep. So what you'll notice is that when you click on any one of your elements, you're going to see a little edit button right here, which is this little pencil with a line. And every element is going to have a different, basically a different configuration, different properties area, right? So you can go ahead and click on that, and you can see right here, you have a design aspect and a configure aspect for the image. So for the images, all you do, you go ahead and click on configure, choose an image, and you can either choose an image that you have, or you can go ahead and upload an image. If you click upload, you can go ahead and just select whatever image you want. So for example, we're just going to go ahead and use this. And let me show you something in here as well. So you go ahead and click an image to upload, and you click open. You have to click this little button right here, this little upload button, to actually get it to upload. So go ahead and click on that, and you'll see it will actually upload there. So once it's there, I can then go ahead and I can go ahead and select it and hit select, and then click update. And you'll see that it's there now. I mean, it's huge, but it's still there. And now you have a couple of options too. You can basically give this thing an alt value. So this is our ebook, say. And then you can go ahead and link this to something. Now you can link it to a page, which is another page in your GroovePages here. You can link it to a block, which is basically a block in your GroovePage. You can link it to a URL. You can link it to a pop-up. So it's all good there. And then you can also, like I said, you can undo this. You can do an undo, and you come back to here.
So yes, Anne-Marie, on the template, yes, you can change that picture too. You can change anything.
You can change, yep, anything you want. So we could even come in here. We can go to like a design block. Let's look at contacts, for example. Or even trying to find that person that we had before. So we use this one again. So what you see is you can click on this image and then click on the edit. You go to here to configure, and then we can go ahead and put in, let's see, who should we put in? We'll put Kathy in there. There we go. So just like that, very simple. You can swap out anything in there. Okay, we have a question here. Have you seen any examples of member directory or thoughts of you want to create a type of page? I thought it'd be easy wireframe, but wanted to hear your thoughts. A member directory. Don't really know about that. I would kind of do something like this. You go to itsmylink.com. You can do something like this where you can have members like listed like this. I'm not really sure what you mean about a member directory, but this is kind of any type of thing like that. This is kind of what the style
unless you're just wanting something that just has some contact info for each person. You can do a picture, and then it depends what kind of information I think you're going to want on it, Manny. But you can use one of the wireframes, just depending on that layout.
Yep. Does it need to be a full-size pic? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The size can be completely up to you there. It doesn't matter. Is there a way I can import a template into Groove? I have created another platform. Yeah, you have the ability here. So we'll get to that. I want to go over the elements, and then we'll go over the pages. So back to the elements right here. So we basically have all these different elements, and really what I would suggest is get in here, create a block, create a container, and just start dragging some elements in there to see what they are. Because actually there's a couple new ones that they just added. So there's this card one, which is actually kind of cool. So if I drop this in here, it's essentially just an image. It's an image with a just some text underneath it, which is kind of cool. There's a tab, which is kind of neat. So you can basically have a tabbed spot to do like some tab stuff. And if we go over here and edit this, right, if I come up to configure, I can actually add like say 3 tabs, and I can have this tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, and then update that. And now you can have the ability to put stuff on each one of the different tabs, which is kind of cool. That's a new element that they
really
added
cool.
there. So then there's a collapse one here, which I can put here. And this is almost like an FAQ type style, where as you click one of these, right, it'll go ahead and collapse, and you can see right there, it kind of just did. If I click it again, it appears again. And you can do, you can basically select how it starts, whether it be open or closed. So you can put a bunch of these together and do like an FAQ type style. You can do a whole bunch of different things there. But the more you come down here, right, the text, this is just straight up text and paragraphs. This is to do lists. You can do like an icon list. You can do an image list. You can do just a regular list, a bulleted list. Here are your buttons. These are some images you can put in there. You can put in videos. You can put in a carousel. You can put in a Wistia video. Then you could actually create a form in there as well if you want. You can do your groove cell. This is where you would go ahead and do some groove cell stuff. Excuse me. And then you can actually do a couple little, they have a couple like mock-up type things in here. So you can come and put like a desktop image, say right here. And you can go ahead and do this, and then you can go ahead and select the image that you want in there. So for example, we can put in something like that, and it'll show this little image in the screen right here. So it's kind of some kind of cool stuff you can do with some of those right there. What does a H1, H2 mean? So H1, H2, H3 are basically headers when it comes to SEO stuff. So H1 is the most important topic on the page, and there really should only be one of these. So if this page is about how to use GroovePages, right? You can go ahead and put this heading up here, and we just put in there how to use GroovePages. And what happens is that when this gets indexed by Google or by any search engine, it's going to see the H1, and it's going to give that more weight, right? And it's going to basically say, okay, that's the main thing about this page. And that's really what those H's are about, right? So you have H1, H2, H3, H4. And you could also just use them for, they should be different sizes of headings. H1 is obviously the most predominant, right? So it's going to be really big as it works down to 6, it's going to be a little bit smaller. But it's really just for weighted stuff when it comes to SEO. So hope that helps. Where were we here? So devices were some quick mock-ups here. You can add a Google Map. You can do code embeds where if you have like a video or something that you want to add, you can do a code embed. You can do a countdown clock. You can do a progress timer. You have nav bars. You can do a whole bunch of different integrations here as well. So it's kind of cool. They have all these different elements right in here. Okay, and this is kind of how you manage your elements. Would you use the one container for the 3 tabs? So yeah, it actually generates everything for you, which is kind of cool. So I have not got a chance to mess with this, but we can certainly play with it right now real quick. Let's just grab an image to jam in here. So put it right in. Oh, that's awesome. Hang on a minute. This is the part that frustrates everybody. So I'll be honest, I haven't played with this tab thing yet, so this is definitely new here. Okay, why can't I add something in that container? Huh. Oh, there we go.
There it goes.
I got it. Okay. So it's just sometimes a matter of just kind of being precise. But what you'll see is each tab has its own container. So we can go ahead and put an image on here. Let's put that one. Really getting into MailChimp today for some reason. So you can see on that tab, right, on this tab, it's nothing there. So basically you can put this tab in one element and then it'll go ahead and give you the other containers within there, if that makes sense. So am I editing just desktop, or are the changes being implemented across all platforms? So you can see that it's going across all the platforms. Now it's not going to look obviously the best, but it does edit across all the platforms. Now, when you start dealing with individual spaces like this or individual devices like this is what I suggest, right? I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this as well. So this is what I would suggest when you start talking about editing a page and making sure mobile works. Now understand, mobile is important. 95% of the people that look at your page are going to be looking at it on mobile, right? Mm-hmm. You can look at the stats and you can see that. So mobile is highly important to make sure you have right. So the way that I do it and the way that I would advise doing it is go block by block. So essentially design your top block and make sure it looks good in all the different devices. Okay, make sure it looks like the way it is that you want to look like. So you can see in here, if I could go into this container, I can go ahead and mess around with some of the sizing and spacing stuff. So I can go ahead and shrink up that middle part. Maybe I want to go ahead and make this image a little bit smaller, right? So here I'm going to go into my size, and I always like to go relative to parent. And basically what that means is that it will dynamically size it based upon the parent that it's in. And what that means is that you can see down here the image sits inside this container. So relative to parent basically means that it's going to size based upon the size of this container. So it's kind of, we'll just go ahead and do that based upon a percentage. So let's say I want to say 50%. Okay. So you can see as I go through here, right, it's going to be kind of the same. Now, if I want to do something different to say one of these, for example, let's say mobile. So let's say I want to have this background green. Okay. So there's a thing in here that says single screen override. So if I go ahead and click on that, what that means is that now I'm editing all of these individually, but the only things that take the changes are going to be sizing, spacing, and colors. Okay. Realize that if I click on mobile and if I remove this image, right, that image is an element of this page. So if I remove it on mobile, it's going to be removed everywhere. Right? So major elements like that cannot be removed on one single device, right? You have to basically hide it on a device. But that's way advanced. We're not going to get into that right now. But what we will do is we will go ahead and change this background color to green, just so you guys can see. And then as we come here, you can see it's blue on everything else because we have the single screen override mode set to on. If we were to take that off and we did that, it would have changed that middle blue to green all the way through. But like I said, the easiest way to do this is to go block by block and really do it that way. Because if you design the entire page and then go ahead and try to do it, you're gonna be pulling your hair out and it's gonna be a complete nightmare. It's just much easier doing it that way. Now, most of the templates are mobile optimized already, so it's not a bad idea to start with those. But still make sure that as you start going through and making changes, that you're checking it on all the devices. This especially, the mobile is it's so important that it's right, that it looks good, and that it works. Because most of the people are going to be using your thing or using your page on their mobile device. All right, we all good? That makes sense so far?
Anne Marie said if she only knew it was
that easy. Yeah. But that's the thing, man. Get in here and play around with it. If you break it, you can always undo it. So what we can do too is as you're going through here, if you click on save at any point, right, it'll go ahead and save a revision of that. And like I said, if we go click on here and we go back to revisions, you can see these are the times where it's saved. So I can actually go ahead and take a look at what this looked like here, what it looked like here. So preview mode is only for the current mode. Okay, so we can go in here and we click on preview there. We can see what it looked like. We could click on preview here and see what it looked like. And you click back on what it was here. And you can click on use this version if you want, okay? I'm just gonna go ahead and cancel and get back to where we were at here. All right, so that's kind of all the elements in here. So like I said, get in here and play around and kind of see what you can break, see what you can create, and just kind of have fun in there. Okay, so next is pages. Pages are kind of where things live throughout your funnel, throughout your site, whatever it is that you want to call it. And to create a new page, you just click on this plus button right here, and it's going to say what kind of page you want to create. You can either go ahead and select the template already. So let's go ahead and select this template for this one. Or you can go ahead and, like before, you can choose a whole bunch of different things that you want. but this one's nice and easy. So we're just going to go ahead and go back and edit a couple things in here. So you can see when you click on pages, right, it comes up to this navigation area right here. Now you can take these things and you can move them around in a position. You can also see on this drop down right here, you can see all your pages in here now. The other thing is you're going to see an index, right? And then you can see like a page 2. As you create a new page, it'll go ahead and automatically add this page 2. If you create another one, it'll be page 3. Right, page 3 and so on. So you can go ahead and edit all these. Now, the thing to understand is that the index page will always be the first page to display when I come to this site. So when we actually do publish the site and we pull it up, the index page will always be the first page. So just understand that. So we can go in here, we can edit the settings. And a couple things that we can edit on the index page. We can edit the page name. And this is the page that will show in this drop down right here. We can edit the page title. You can say this is our home page. And this is what actually shows up on the top up here in the tabs. And then the keywords, this way you put your keywords, your description, this way you put your description. The font, you can go ahead and select the default font for this page. Now remember, we did do it over here for the whole site. So we did go ahead and make a default font for the site, and we can override that on the page right here as well. We could add custom CSS, we could add our custom tracking stuff, and then we could do our open graph stuff for this particular page as well. Remember, we did it before for our site. You can also do it for this individual page. Now, once you get done editing everything on here, you want to make sure you click on this checkbox right here. If you don't click on this checkbox, it's not going to save. So click on that checkbox, and then we'll go ahead and we'll show this list again here. And so that was for the index page. Now, any other page, you can actually change this page number right here, which is page 2. So we can do the same thing. We come in here, we're going to say edit settings. And we go ahead and this page 2 right here, this is the one that's going to show in this drop down. So we're just going to leave that as page 2. Now the page 2 URL, we're going to change this to have test page 2. Oops. Okay. And then the page title, this is our test page title. And then same thing, meta keywords and all the other stuff right here. So let's see, there's a question here. Have you ever created default styling, button and fonts? Not sure if you're covering this later. No, I didn't do that. I may touch on that a little bit later. That is a kind of more advanced thing. Custom CSS is basically allows you to do custom scripting for CSS. CSS stands for custom style sheets is what it stands for. Anyway, it allows you to do custom styling for your entire page. It allows you to override certain things. If you don't know anything about CSS, just do a quick Google search. You can find out about it, but you can go ahead and change anything that you want in there. Now, it does come with some default settings in here. I'm not going to get into this at all. If you want to go in here and mess around with them, feel free, and you'll see what changes that actually happen on there. So, but once you get done, again, once you get done editing and stuff, we're going to go ahead and click on the checkbox, and that will go ahead and do the save. And you can see right here, save test page 2. Get back here. So you have that test page 2 right here. And then, like I said, the other one is the test page 3. We can go ahead and remove one if we want. Click on the 3 dots and go ahead and click on delete, and that'll go ahead and remove it. All right, so that'll remove that page 3. The other things you can do in here is you can set this as home page. So if I go ahead and click set as home page, it'll basically make this one, now it's going to make me a liar. It's going to make this one the index page. Set as home page. There we go. So page 2 you can see is now index, and now this became page 1. So we're going to go ahead and switch this back because I want to make sure this stays the index page. And then you can see, obviously, we lost our page 2 settings. So we have to come back in here and then make this what we want, test page 2. All right, we can do a clone, which is essentially just a copy. So if I click clone, it'll go ahead and make a duplicate of that particular page. And you can see now we have a page 2 copy. And then, like I said, we can also delete it here. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one. All right. And then the next option down here after pages, right, is funnels. Now, a funnels is essentially the same as pages, except it allows you to organize things a little bit different. So you may have a couple different funnels within one site. You can go ahead and click on funnels and click on add, and then same thing. I can come over here to funnels, and I can go ahead and grab, let's just do this fitness booking funnel. And you'll see, it'll go ahead and create all the different pages in here. Okay, so you can see this particular funnel has right now 3 pages. So it has a home, a booking, and a thank you, right? So that's just funnels. It's, like I said, it just allows you to organize your pages into different funnels. Pop-ups is exactly what it sounds like. You can go ahead and create a pop-up. So you can basically make it so you can click a button and then a pop-up can actually come up. To do that, you just click on create new pop-up, and it has a whole bunch of default ones right here. You can just go ahead and select one. And then you can just modify this kind of as needed. You can change out the image, you can change out the text and everything else. You can just give it a different name if you want. And then you can say how you want it to appear. You can say I want it to appear just on the specific pages. And you can also say how you want it to actually appear. You can have it a standard, which basically means when I hit a button, it'll go ahead and appear. Or I can do it on an entry, which basically means when the page loads, that pop-up button will be there. Or on an exit, and I'm sure you guys have seen this if you've been on a page before, you try to exit and that pop-up comes up. That's what exit means. It'll throw it up at the end there. All right, and then if you want to save it, just click save and exit. I'm just going to go ahead and hit cancel here. And that's kind of how you do pop-ups. And then the stats will kind of show you just some general stats about your whole site here. It'll give you a whole site stats. It'll give visits, uniques, and the bounce, and then the current page. This will be the actual page over today, 7 days, 14 days, or a month, and same settings up there. So that's kind of a quick overview of GroovePages. Does anybody have any other questions? Let's see. When you go block by block, you save it and then it goes together. You don't have to save it. It will actually automatically save it for you as you're going through some things. It is a good practice to click save every once in a while, for sure. Oh, yeah. You definitely want to do that. But the other thing is too, I'm going to go over what publishing does right now. So we're going to go back to pages here, and we're going to go back to our main page. And then when you click on publish, you're going to see a couple things. The very first time you come into a site, you're going to have to assign it a domain. And like I said before, there's actually a video on how to go ahead and connect your domain to Groove. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pretend we already did all that. So I'm going to go ahead and select the domain here. And one of my domains is groovetest.com. And I'm going to go ahead and just use that. So I went ahead and selected it. And I'm going to go ahead and click on publish. And it may actually not let me do this because I think I'm using this actually on another site. So let's see what happens. So we click on publish, and yep, domain's not available. So I'm just going to use a subdomain here, and I'm just going to call this Rob. Publish. And you can see right here, it showed up as rob.groovetest.com /index. So once this actually publishes, I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And if this all worked out right, we should have a published page here in a minute. Oh, not yet. All right, let's see if this actually works. I may not have hooked this domain up right anyway. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. It's there. All right, so there we go. And you can see what's actually cool, the way the domain stuff is actually working out. It automatically brings it up as HTTPS, which is cool. And that's kind of how you publish it. So guys, that was kind of a quick overview of GroovePages. Does anybody have any other questions?
It was good.
So it wasn't too...
The other stuff that you all asked that we did not get into because it is advanced, we do teaching Tuesdays every Tuesday. So yep. That we will put those down as things to add to the schedule.
Yeah, next batch of questions for sure. But really what I would encourage you guys to do is I would find a template. Right. Yes. Publish means that it's ready to use. Once you publish it, it means that the world can actually view it. What I would do, guys, is I would find a template in here. Right. I would do this. I would go page. I would add a page, and I would find a template. And this is a good one to use because it's very easy to do. Let this come up here. Come on. All right. If you click on that little button right here, it's actually. This will show. This should just do a preview. Okay, so you can see this right here. This is a good page right here. I would practice and I would duplicate this particular template, right? And if you look at the way this is laid out here, and you can totally cheat in here, you can see this top one is a block, right? This one right here is a block that has 2 containers in it, right? So it has some stuff in there, but work on one of these and just try to create one of these, and try not to cheat either, right? Take one of these, take it out so you can see it, and then just try to duplicate it, right? I mean, if you break it down, there's a couple different ways you can break things down. So you know that this top one's a block, right? This one right here is another block that has 2 containers in it. This one right here is going to be another block right here. This right here will be another block. This section right here, right, which will have 3 elements or 3 containers in there. Each one of those containers is going to have a couple elements, okay? And just kind of work through this thing page by page, just so you can get familiar with it, to kind of figure out how things kind of work, and then kind of how things manipulate. Can you put an H2 about H1 and above it? I think that means above an H1. Yes. Yep. But the whole thing is you want to make sure you only have one of them, right? You can't have multiple H1s. It's basically like putting none in there. So yeah, you can put it wherever you want within the layout. That's absolutely fine. So, all right. I hope that made sense, guys. I hope that kind of gave you guys some clarity on a couple things. And if you guys have any other questions, go ahead and drop a Q in there, and we'll definitely be getting back to these a little bit later. But overall, I think that was, hope that really helped you guys out. So
yeah, yep. I think it did.
Awesome. Very good.
Oh, and you get in the zone and you start going.
Oh yeah, just start going.
I think that for me, I liked seeing. I didn't know that they had the what was it? The little containers, the tab containers.
Tabs, yeah, yeah, that was brand new. I just saw that this morning. I was like, ooh, yeah, this is new. So I got to figure out a couple of cool ways to use that. Yeah, they keep adding a couple new ones in here kind of every day, which is kind of neat now.
Awesome.
So,
all right, guys. So we'll be back for Friday for Freestyle Friday. If you have any questions, make sure you show up for that, because you can ask away anything you want, and we'll get that answered for you. But until Friday, we'll see you then.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye for now. See ya.